have your seats.
Hey there, Western Hills Church. So, quick recap, if you've been with us over the last few weeks, you know that we've been through this series called Be in the Things of the Father, and we actually just wrapped it up this last week. And as part of that, we've been sharing with you some stories from folks right here at Western Hills Church who have had their own Be in the Things of the Father stories. So we've had a few of those over the last few weeks, and so this week I have the Ziegler family, Brian and Stacy, up here with me, and they're going to share with us a little bit about their own being in the things of the Father story from this past year, really.
It started off like everyone's in March. When we went into quarantine, we had 3 teenage girls at home who moved into the homeschooling phase, which was a lot of fun. And they were all active in sports, so our schedule got completely wiped clean. We didn't have any activities to go to. We just kind of hunkered down, stayed at home, and that actually was a really special time for me. My job closed down for a while, so I got to be home with the girls. I got into a great routine of just really digging deep into God's Word, being in prayer, and I had the ability to do some Bible studies with the girls. So for me, it started off as a really special time that I got to become really close in my relationship with Jesus, and I didn't realize that that was going to be so valuable come August when I got a couple phone calls in the morning.
Her time through the quarantine slowed for her, right? And it was exactly the opposite for me. I was in being in the agricultural business, deemed kind of an essential worker, and our plant was going like crazy. We had shut down for a couple days, and then we got really behind, and so my life was going a zillion miles an hour at that time, and I was really kind of drifting away from some of the things that we talk about being in the things of the Father, right? Yeah. At that point. And then it all slowed dramatically for me on that morning when I decided to test the airbags of my Camry, and which they did. They worked well, thank God, and still here. But I was everything that all of my functions that I could do for myself were taken away from me very quickly in that morning. It slowed me down. God slowed me down pretty quick.
That morning, it was August 6th. I got a couple early phone calls. It was like 5:15. I missed the first 2 phone calls and finally answered the third one. And they had Brian in the ambulance, and he was on his way to Stormont Vale. He'd hit the back of a tractor pulling a hay bale, and it was really scary. I because of COVID, I wasn't allowed into the emergency room, so I sat in the parking lot till 8 a.m. and I didn't really get any clear, no one really contacted me about what exactly was going on.
Right.
I didn't know if he was, how bad it was. So I left the hospital and went to go get all of his stuff out of the car, and the girls went with me. And when we got to Osage City, I went into the place where they have the wrecked vehicles, and the guy asked me, did he survive? And I was like, oh, yeah, he's at the hospital, and he was shocked. And so right then, I just was scared. And when I went out to that vehicle, it was so mangled, and I wasn't sure how a 6'2" man in a Camry could have survived the whole front end being crushed in. And you could see where the hay bale forks went through his windshield and pierced his headrest. And I think that's when it hit me. You know, I wasn't sure how he would be surviving this, and it was scary. It was really scary.
Yeah, I bet. So clearly God was doing something through that. What are some of those things that God taught you? How was it some of those ways that he grew you through this event in your life?
Going through 2 surgeries, being in the hospital for 21 days, slowing down, man, I was in that bed, had a lot of time to think, actually could read a little bit. I had 1 good hand left, and could turn pages a little bit, could manipulate my phone, and really just got close to hearing God. Was able to journal a lot through those days. My handwriting, it's pretty hard to read my handwriting with the broken wrist, but I was able to journal a lot, and really kind of going from the initial, why did this happen to me, to, gosh, God, what are you trying to teach me? It was amazing what he was telling me and how he was growing me. He grew me exponentially.
Yeah, that actually happened fairly quickly because I think it was maybe the second day that you were in the hospital. And originally I thought it was the morphine talking. And he kept telling me, what do you think God is trying to teach me here? And it kind of changed our whole perspective being in the hospital. I definitely had way more grace for the staff after Brian had that conversation with me. We heard their stories. We prayed with them. We brought them food, which was helpful.
Right.
Except for that pumpkin spice popcorn, that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
Where I was going 1,000 miles an hour, maybe slowing down and able to help minister people at work, be able to help people work through, take an unbeliever and then read a book. You know, we're starting to read books now together and those kind of things, and pray with people at work, bring them in my office, and they're going through hard times and slow down and pray. So it really was one of my challenges was my own, wrestling with myself and getting myself over the hump with what I was hearing God to do, and that really took away a lot of that. No really resistance anymore after what he did for me there.
It's hard for me to ask for help. I prefer to be the helper for sure. And in fact, I think it was just a couple days into it, and Randy Stones reached out and asked if she could set up a meal train for me. And I actually declined it. I thought, we're going to be okay, and I can manage everything. I can take care of my kids and Brian, and I'll figure it out. And I quickly realized, 10, 12 hours at the hospital, that I needed some help. And so she put together a meal train, and gosh, we just had people from inside the church, from outside of the church, from the girls' school, from the girls' sports teams and old upward teams. I mean, they just came out of the woodwork to not only feed us, but to really take care of us. And I found that every need that we had, it was met before I even spoke it, which was really just felt like such a big God thing.
I mean, it's just powerful to see that there was so much more, even beyond the physical recovery, that you guys learned and grew in. I mean, all of us are going to find ourselves in some sort of hard situation, maybe not that extreme, but having that perspective of what is God trying to teach me through this, I think is an important step of maturity for everybody. And so thank you guys for being willing to share that story with us and allow us